Thank you very much.
Order. I call the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, I would never have thought that anyone on this side would be thinking now, bring back Rodney Hyde. For he was an economic lunatic, but he made more sense than the last member. After all the sales of state assets, how thin is the share market now? It was always so, but there's the mantra repeated over and over again by people like the last speaker. You know, at 7:30 p.m. next election night, the bewildered this government has over there will remember this debate. Our simple message to the national MPs is, don't trash the ministerial homes, don't dent the LTDs, because soon they'll be out of them, out of a job, and John Key will be sunning himself in Hawaii. This bill makes that an absolute certainty. You know, here they sit like a former time in history. Fiscal soundness to the left of them, economic sanity to the right of them, national sovereignty in front of them. Theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do politically and die. Into the valley of political death rode the bewildered. Mr. Joyce got up, the Minister for Everything, and he said this bill is about three things, and he's right. It's about treason. Yes. It's about treachery. That's right. It's about betrayal. This is the Benedict Arnold bill. This bill was rammed through the Select Committee and is here over a month before the 16th July reporting time that this House asked for. Because you know what they thought? Well, look, if the fan's got a full load, we may as well load up a bit more. We've had such a tragic time of it. 1 week after 1 week, disaster after disaster, so they thought we could disguise this. We'll get it out of the Select Committee, take it to Parliament, and hope that by the next election, people have forgotten. Remember this, at 7:30 next election night, those members will remember this debate, because they will be gone. Mr. Key, Mr. Spray and walk away. Oh, he'll be in Hawaii, because all he was ever interested in with his overmighty ego was some addition to his CV. Does the Prime Minister really want his legacy to be that he led a government determined to impoverish New Zealanders? Is that what he wants? Because the government's intention to drive this bill through in the face of overwhelming public opposition and overwhelming economic analysis that shows it is damaging to New Zealand's economic interest is incompetence on a grand scale. Oh no, Treasury said that this pathway leads within 10 years to overseas ownership. Treasury said this does not make fiscal or financial sense. It costs. That's what Treasury said. Hardly the epitome of left-wing thinking or socialism. Even they warned, but no, the bewildered decided they would go for broke regardless. On one level, it's truly incredible that this bill is before Parliament. Incredible in the sense that it makes no sense. Here we are in 2012, yet this government is locked into an economic model that was discredited a long time ago. They are still enthralled to outdated, flawed economic policy, and why? Because the bewildered over there don't realise the National Party is run by its financial sponsors. People like Macquarie Bank, the banks, the people that Mr. Key pays far greater heed to than all the people that have meetings in all the halls trying to sustain national. But Mr. Key's not interested in that. He's interested in helping out his mates. Oh, look, I've been around long enough to know what a nervous gaggle looks like. And they are nervous. They are nervous. You take Melissa Lee over there. Well, this is a one-way visa to political oblivion. I'm very helpful to Asian people. I'd like the Korean people to be successful. I want the Korean people to be a success. But here comes the one person the Korean people put up in Parliament and gone like lightning. This is not good for international relations, for goodness sake.
Oh, no.
They have learned nothing from past experience. in the sale of New Zealand state assets. They are about to repeat all the mistakes of the past, and it is this and future generations of New Zealanders who will pay a massive price. Now let's have a moment's silence for Telecom. That was sold for $4.25 billion, and you know, it's seen $9 billion going offshore to other markets in dividends and capital repayments. That represents a disastrous transfer of wealth, and it's about to be repeated again. The government has tried to sugar the bill with its euphemistic wording for the bill, mixed ownership. Sounds nice and innocuous, and it has so-called safeguards that other members have referred to, and they are bogus. Make no mistake, if this bill is passed, it will only be a matter of time before the assets will be totally owned overseas. And that is, of course, their purpose. They all know that. No, I know it's true. Unlike that member who's so wet behind her ears, she's happy to sacrifice her whole constituency just for the chance of being promoted to cabinet. Well, you know, I suppose that's a prospect that was way beyond her ambitious reach, but that's why she's better do it. Never ask the real questions, just go along with it. But on election night, 7:30, next election, that member will know, as will her constituents. Perhaps she will survive, but her friends won't. They'll be all gone.
They'll be gone.
You'll look back in agony. You'll look back in anger, because, frankly, that's where this bill takes you. What possessed them to once again sell state assets? Who were they working for? Whose interests were they serving? For it was not the ordinary New Zealander about which we speak. Those are the three questions that they'll be asking themselves at 7:30 next election night. So don't dent the LTDs. Don't go trash the ministerial homes. Don't go and spoil it for the next government coming in. But what we want you to understand is that being the masters of your own political destiny, you plainly stuffed it up. This madness may be due to a willful ignorance and incompetence, or something more sinister. How do we explain the intention to sell assets? How do we explain the intention to sell assets that delivered dividends that were almost $900 million last year to the New Zealand taxpayer? How do you explain that? Oh, no, we are in New Zealand. That's my very point, Mr. Maben. And up north, the most impoverished part of this country when it comes to Europeans and Maori, the most impoverished part of this country, and Mr. Maben, he needs to go back and explain up there in Hokianga and Kerikeri, if he ever visits them, or in Morewa, or in Dargaville, why he came down and sold his people out. That's what he'll be asked. He won't be holding any public meetings. Oh, no. And what's more, he won't be engaged in any public debate because he'll get trashed. The fact of the matter is, under this government's madcap thinking, we will sell high-performing assets, delivering excellent dividends at the same time the government's having to borrow money offshore. No sane financial manager will do that. I want to remind those members again, sometimes in politics, a bill comes before your caucus, an idea comes before the caucus, and you know that when they begin by saying this is a non-controversial, innocuous bill, that along go the red lights. The alarm bells start to ring. This is such a moment. This, for them, is a harbinger of things to come, and it's all bad. I remember the National Party when it used to believe in the word national, when it had a sense of national purpose, when it was led by people like Holyoake, people that would never sell the country out. Kerry Keith, he called himself. Of course, he didn't pose as being somebody elitist. But this new bunch, oh, no. This new bunch is different. No national purpose, no sense of sovereignty, happy to be on the international stage with a confetti bowl of trade agreements, selling out the country's soul at any given time, and they hope that one day they can get away with it. You'll remember this day. You'll remember this debate. At 7:30, at the next election night eve, I am going to phone all those that lose and say, order, remember, you were warned.
Now, Now, could I just before I call the next speaker, rather than interrupt the Right Honourable Winston Peters, can I remind members on my right that I'd like to have a look at Speaker's Ruling 60/5, especially number 3 and number 4. I call the Honourable